the channel. Hope y'all are having a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by the channel. If this is your first time to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I've got a lot of other car care and DIY repair videos on the channel that I think you may find some value in. So let's get right into it. What we've got today is kind of a follow-up to a couple videos that I've posted just recently here for my GMC Envoy. We are going to be replacing the front output shaft seal on the transfer case. Alright guys, so let me show you what I'm going to be using here, and then we'll jump underneath the car. I've got to get it jacked up, put on jack stands, make it safe, and then we'll get started on it. Alright guys, so what I've got here are 2 quarts of the ACDelco Auto-Trak transfer case fluid. There's the part number there for you. Same thing there. I've got a seal here. This seal actually came from the folks over at Napa. There's the part number for this one, part number 13730. And let me just show you what this guy looks like real quick here. Alright, there's just a quick look at the seal. And again, this is for the front output shaft on the transfer case. And then to get the transfer case fluid, the Auto-Trak 2 fluid back into the transfer case, because I'm presuming we're going to lose some once I pull out that propeller shaft, is I've got just a pretty inexpensive siphon pump here. I think I picked this thing up from Harbor Freight, you know, for less than 10 bucks or something like that. Alright folks, so we are under the car now, and just to get this out of the way, because I had a couple comments on one of my previous videos about supporting the car on jack stands, you can see I've got one jack stand here under the driver's side, and then over on the passenger side I also have another jack stand, and it just as a third step of precaution. Sorry, I'm trying to do this laying down. I also have the floor jack up there under the front cross member, just as a added safety measure. Alright, so let me see if I can get you guys in here, and I'm going to apologize for this weird angle here. So here is the bottom of the transfer case, and forward is to the right on the screen here. Now if you'll remember previously, in my previous video, I went ahead and cleaned up all of these surfaces with some brake clean, and then you know, with hopes of identifying where this leak is coming from. And after I cleaned it up, you know, it appears now, and it did also in my previous video, that the leak is in fact coming from this front seal right here. It looks like it's just kind of seeping down, and you can see it's wet here on the frame, or the outside casing of the transfer case here. So that is what we're going to tackle today, that front output shaft on the transfer case. And then of course you also have your rear output shaft that goes back to the drive shaft. And then of course, see if you can see it here up front here, you have the front input shaft where it comes from the transmission. I'm sorry, from the flywheel. Well, yeah, from the transmission. So this seems like it's going to be a pretty straightforward process. All we have to do, and I don't want to jinx myself, but all we've got to do is remove the retaining bolts that hold on this propeller shaft here. And of course this goes to the front differential, which also is leaking, I believe, on the inboard side where the differential mounts to the oil pan. And that is a lot more difficult to get to than the outboard side seal, because obviously you have to remove the differential and then rotate that downwards or take it completely out. And you know, as you can see, it's staining the bottom of the oil pan, but it is not leaking enough to where it puddles on the driveway. So I'm not concerned about that right now. So what we're going to do, I'll show you how to get those retaining bolts off of that front, the front U-joint for the drive shaft, and then we'll go ahead and take off the shaft itself. And I believe that it's just a slip fit on the splines on this transfer case. So let's go ahead and get that done. Alright, so these bolts holding the straps onto the U-joint here, they are 11 millimeter, and I'm going to cheat a little bit and use my air ratchet. Alright, I hope you guys can kind of see this angle here. Just word of safety here, always be sure to wear your safety glasses, particularly when you're working underneath your car and when you've got leaking fluids. And I'm also going to put on my work gloves here. And just be careful when you're pulling out this front U-joint. So just pop that backwards with the with a flathead screwdriver, and I'm just going to rotate the yoke on the differential. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a bucket just in case I lose some fluid underneath here. I'll be right back. Okay, so I apologize if the lighting isn't the best under here, but I'll get you in here once I get this propeller shaft out of the way. But so what I'm going to do here is just kind of move this up out of the way at the front side of the motor, or at the front, and then just take a flathead screwdriver here and just kind of pry this guy out a little bit, because I've not had to take this propeller shaft out anytime before, so I think it's going to be kind of stuck in here a little bit. Folks, so I was able to pop out the propeller shaft from the transfer case, and what I did was probably not the most ideal, but I used a crowbar here, and this is just a, I don't know, 12-inch crowbar or something like that, and just wedged it in between this little collar and the body of the transfer case, and just kind of wiggled it back and forth to pop that clip loose in the transfer case. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Chilton's manual recommends or says that you have to remove, let's see if I can get you guys up here, remove this cross member to get this propeller shaft out. But there is in fact enough space between the steering column, which is this rubber boot right here, and then the rear of the front differential. So all you need to do, and I hope I don't lose any fluid here, but all you need to do is just, and be careful here because you don't want to lose these caps on your U-joint, because those little needle bearings in there will go all over the place. Alright, so you just want to slide the propeller shaft up into this little cavity right here, and you may have to turn this yoke a little bit on the back of the front differential just to get this guy to fit, but just slide it forward a little bit, turning it, and it should come right out and fit right up into this cavity here. Okay, and then you have enough room up there to slide it forward. And then get this guy down out of the way. And again, be careful with the caps on your U-joints. You don't want those needle bearings going all over the place. Alright, so let me see if I can get you guys in here for a closer look at this seal here. So it is obviously, it's got a bunch of crud in there. I mean, it is obviously dirty and in need of repair. So that is going to be, so see, this is, here's that little clip I was talking about here. That little clip there just holds on the clip holds that shaft on, so you just have to, pop it out a little bit. Alright, so here is the seal, and I don't know what this little rubber grommet is here, but we're going to hold on to that. Looks like a little seal piece there. Maybe that's just a dust boot. Alright, but we'll save that and put that back on. Get this guy out. What I'm going to do first is just clean this up a little bit, just to reduce any chances of any gunk and stuff getting into the actual transfer case itself. And then we'll just go around. I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to use just a little screwdriver to kind of tap this seal out. So let me get this cleaned up, and then we'll get the screwdriver, start tapping around, and give that a go and see how well that works. Alright guys, so I've just got started tapping out the seal, and all I'm doing quite simply is just using my flathead screwdriver and then just ever so gently going around the edges here as much as I can reach, and then just tapping on that seal. Now of course you want to be careful, you don't want to chip or damage or mar or anything, do any damage to the actual housing of the transfer case, so just be careful when you're doing that. So let me set you guys down. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and let you just watch the process here. So that seems to be working pretty well. Alright, so I now have the seal, I think, pretty much all the way out. Oh, there it goes. Yep. Alright. And just lost a little bit of fluid, not too much. So go ahead and take this seal all the way off here. So there's all that blue Auto-Trak transfer case fluid. Alright, so I'll let that drain out just a little bit, and let me take you up topside here and we'll take a look at these two seals and compare them. So real quickly here, just a comparison of the old seal and the new seal. Now of course they're the same size, same diameter. Yeah, this one here is dirty, gummed up, and then the new seal here comes with a couple dabs of grease on the inside there just to help installation of the seal onto the shaft. So let's go ahead and get this one put in. I've got this big hunk of metal here. We're going to try and put that in as best I have. I don't have a socket big enough for this thing, which is about 2.5 inches in diameter. So maybe a soup can or a piece of PVC would also work. Alright, so we're ready to go ahead and put this seal back in. I'm just going to clean up some of this extra Auto-Trak fluid here, and then just push this seal right into the spot there.
I'm giving Corbin a chance. By not because I lost one, right? Right. I'm doing the one that's lost, which means my left one. You can use that, okay? Is it okay if I have these two guns? Well, then I don't have another one. I need two. If you have this one, I won't have a second.
Make sure it's seated all the way around, which it looks like it is. So that seal seems to be all the way bottomed in, so we're good to go. Yeah, bud. Oh, crap. Ooh, that was lucky.
What happened?
I dropped one of those caps. Fortunately, those little needle bearings stayed in place.
Well, that's good.
Yes, very good. Just be sure to get these U-joint clamps torqued down to about 15 foot-pounds. We'll be all set, and then be ready to fill the transfer case back up with transfer case fluid. Oh, there she comes. All right, starting to drip now. Good. So that was how much?
Yeah, 1 3/4 pretty much.
1 3/4 in. Okay. Here we go. 1 3/4 quarts of the Auto-Trak 2 transfer case fluid. That was a lot lower than I thought it was. So I'm glad we went ahead and did this seal replacement. Alright guys, so that is how I change out that front output shaft seal on my transfer case. I hope that video was helpful to you. I guess the most difficult thing for me on this job was actually just popping out that propeller shaft from the transfer case itself. You know, as you saw, I used the crowbar just to kind of wiggle that thing and pop it loose from that C-clip. And while it was a little nerve-wracking just because I'm, you know, prying on the case of the transfer case itself, that thing came out relatively easy. And then, you know, sliding the propeller shaft up into that cavity up by the front differential, that wasn't hard. The only other thing, as you saw in the video, I did lose one of those caps for the U-joint on the front side of the propeller shaft. I was fortunate in that the needle bearings inside of that cap did not go all over the place. So just a couple words of caution there. If you guys are attempting this job, watch out for those U-joint caps, and then just be careful when you're prying on that metal collar to try and pop the shaft out of or off of the transfer case output shaft. So again, I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you have any questions about replacing the seal on your transfer case, feel free to drop them down in the comments section below. I will answer those questions to the best of my ability. Guys, as always, thank you for stopping by the channel. Thank you for checking out the video. I hope it's been helpful to you. If it has, be sure to leave a thumbs up. If you hadn't done so already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I've got a lot of other videos on the channel that you guys may find useful. As always, I will see you guys on the next one.